What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. Joining me today, Ryan Wilson, John Breech, and the pilote of the power rankings, Pete Prisco. I wasn't trying to pronounce that, so I just threw it out there. Producer Harry working the thesaurus hard these days to get to come up with P words to represent Pete's powerful power rankings.
Pete, was your nickname ever Pistol Pete Priscovich?
Yes, it was.
Really?
Really?
My basketball coach called me Pistol.
Because Pete could shoot. Pete tells us he could shoot from outside.
Did you show up at practice with the gun one day or something?
Pistol Pete Maravich.
Yeah, Pistol Pete Maravich.
Maravich coached at NC State. He didn't know
He
that.
was my favorite.
I did know that.
Maravich was my favorite player.
I think Brinson's joke is that
Ryan,
there's
the
no way
caps
Pete
on
was
your
good at
drink, Ryan.
basketball.
I did bet the Pistol Pete NC State connection. That's why everybody thought Pistol Pete was going to go to NC State, but he went to LSU instead.
Well, because his dad went to LSU. Don't you remember?
I know. Well, you know who else was supposed to go to NC State? Went to LSU instead? Shaquille O'Neal.
Hey, by the way, Brinson knows I could shoot. I remember the story when I shot out Mike Garafola.
This is true.
Flip-flop.
If we haven't talked about the story of the podcast, I'll tell it very quickly. Mike Garofalo comes walking by. We're in Arizona at the owners' meetings at the Biltmore, sitting by the pool and hanging out and time to kill. In between like the meetings and the coach's breakfast. And Garofalo comes walking by. He's going to the basketball court. He's wearing like decked out in like full like basketball like gear. Like he's going to shoot some hoops and get some exercise. And Pete's like, I bet I can shoot you out of the gym, Garofalo. And Mike is like, what are you talking about? Pete's like, I'll do it right now. Pete stands up in like a polo, like a Vineyard Vines polo, some shorts and flip-flops, and goes down to the basketball court and just humiliates Garofalo right there
in the wind.
Yeah. Blew him out of the water.
Every time I see him, he goes, he sheepishly has to say, yeah, you did. I mean, he has no comeback.
There's nothing he can say. You lit him up. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you're listening on any of the various podcast platforms, make sure to give us a 5-star review. One show back in the feed. We got Katie Mox, Emery Hunt, Prop Stars, and myself looking at early odds for Week 12, including, of course, the Thanksgiving games. Don't put any money down before listening to that one. And today we're going to run through Pete's Week 12 power rankings, sorting out the teams living on the playoff bubble, and then blind rank Thanksgiving foods. But first, we got to get to we don't rank brothers. We want to get to the Shaq Leonard news. What do you think? Who's your favorite pair of brothers? Can't be yourself.
You can't be yourself?
No,
I don't
you
have
can't
a
pick
brother,
you.
so
I mean, Pete was going to pick me and my brothers, the Pisco brothers. We
he loves
dominate.
his family.
That's fine. You know what? I was stunned to find out in perusing.
You stumped Pete. He didn't say anything. He has
I'm
no
trying to
favorite
think of
brother.
other brothers that my favorite brothers.
Super Mario Brothers is really Mario Brothers is my top 5. I'll tell you one that looking at this list of this GQ list of like the best brother rankings, one that like I didn't even realize Bill Murray and Brian Doyle Murray are brothers.
Yeah, that's Bill Murray's funny. Brian Doyle Murray was kind of annoying.
Prisco, aren't the Harbaugh brothers or spirit animals?
Harbaughs are good. The Mannings are good.
That face.
John's normal and Jim is weird. So
Yeah, John is like a totally normal human being, and Jim is a psychopath.
I'm going to go with, and you'll appreciate this, Pete. Ron Howard and his extremely ugly brother who works all the time and is great in movies, Clint Howard.
Gentle Ben. The little brother was in Gentle Ben, wasn't he?
He may have been. I never saw Gentle
Yeah,
Ben.
I think he was. Remember the story? Yeah.
But he was also in Parenthood, the movie with Steve Martin, where he's yelling at the kid in Little League for dropping the fly ball.
Yeah. The Manning brothers have to be on the top, close to that list, right?
Yeah, but they're everywhere.
On this list, Peyton and Eli were actually number 1.
Well, we know Pete is a huge HGTV fan, so I'm guessing Property Brothers would be up there for Prisco.
No twins.
Those two are the most annoying 2 human beings I've ever been.
They're not annoying.
Doug Pitt. They did a quick email interview with Doug Pitt, brother of Brad, for this article, and it's kind of funny. It's like, how's it feel to read the gossip surrounding your brother? It's always fiction, always. As family, I don't bother with that print, but I like seeing the pictures as they show up online. Like Doug is like very, very clearly like annoyed, like completely annoyed by being the brother of Brad Pitt. He was asked, he was like, "Do you get recognized?" "Yes, but not because I look like Brad. More as Val Kilmer back in the day, and now some Travolta, which I don't understand. It's not until the last 6 or 7 years I've been getting Brad references from people who didn't know who I am." I don't know why.
What about Sly and Frank Stallone?
Frank's a good one.
one.
Frank had the
like
one song.
that.
What was the one song called, Pete?
Do 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 do. He's standing singing on the street corner.
Yeah, it was famous. That was a good song. Breech, how many brothers do you have?
I have 3.
Which one's your favorite? You had to rank them.
I can't rank them. That's not possible.
They're not going to hear this.
rank
Don't worry
I'm
about
going to
it.
say others.
They're not going to see this.
They're ranked 1A, 1B, and 1C, and they know where they fall.
They know where they
I don't
fall,
have to say it. I got one for Pete. I got a brother. What, Pete?
If your brother that you're like, I grew up with my brother Richie. We were a year and 2 days apart. So, but he got kept back a year. So we went to school together from 9th grade on. So in high school, everybody would come up and the girls would come up. Are you two twins? And I'd go, yeah, my mom held me in for a year and 2 days. Hey, we're not twins. and so we were always together. But then my younger brother, Paulie, started living with me when we were like in our 30s. So, we're all close. And my younger brother who passed away, Andy, you remember that, baby, he was 10 years younger. So he was kind of the baby. So he was kind of like, he was the distant brother, but he was, you can tell your brothers that you're with all the time. You're more than the same age. It's easier to be more relevant with them. So don't say anything different, Breech. You're a liar.
Well, I mean, that's true. But if you have a brother who is 8 years older, they can, buy you things that you can't buy yourself when you're under the age of 21.
Encyclopedias?
Encyclopedias. That's right.
What were we going to ask Pete?
Wilson and his twin brother Moby.
Or Michael Stipe. Michael Stipe is also acceptable.
Pete, here's a set of brothers that were born the same year you were. How about Ohio's own the Wright brothers?
No, that's North Carolina.
I taught Orville how to fly the damn thing. Okay.
That's
the Bee Gees is a good one.
The Bee Gees.
The Gibbs. Yeah.
You know that old Jimmy Fallon skit on Saturday Night Live where he's like talking it up at the Barry Gibbs talk show. It's like one of my favorite old school.
You know who never gets, when you talk about brothers like in acting, you talk about what's his name from Dirty Dancing. Him and his brother.
Patrick
Swayze's brother was in a lot of movies.
Julia Roberts' brother, Eric Roberts, says that they're not brothers, obviously, but siblings. He does a lot of acting, but he's sort of the
Eric Roberts was in Star 80. It was a great movie.
What about the Baldwin brothers? What about the Baldwin brothers?
Behind you. Hassel's behind you. Be careful.
Hey, get Hassel in here.
Back there.
If you want acting brothers, what about the Hemsworths? I bet
great call.
Hey, Hassel. Hey, Chris, get him in here real quick. Get him in here, Pete. Get him in here. I got a question for you.
He wants you.
Well, I can't hear him though because
well, give me your headphones.
Hassel doesn't do. You don't want to get Hassel on because Hassel doesn't do local media and he doesn't do the Pick Six podcast.
That's what I wanted to ask him about.
Hassel doesn't do.
The great Chris Hassel, CBS Sports HQ host, and Westwood One? What is your radio title?
Learfield. Come on, you don't know that, Brinson. Come on now.
That's what I'm saying. No, we wanted to talk about this, the little bit you did with the local media thing where you're like, you get that camera out of my face.
Well, you guys know, after you've risen to the national level, you don't want to deal with those local peons anymore, right? I mean, come on, get out of the way.
I watched that like 10 times. It was really good.
Stop holding us down.
Very well done. It was very well done.
All right, Pete wants me to wrap it up.
All right, see you, buddy. He just breathed on his head. He just breathed on that bald dome of his.
That's elder abuse.
Elder abuse. Amen to that, brother.
Elder abuse, except he's going to get it beaten.
Reverse elder abuse.
Noel Liam Gallagher is a good one. Oasis. Who doesn't love Oasis?
I don't. Go ahead. Keep going.
I think Producer Harry wants to get going because you got to get out of here, Pete.
Yeah, let's move on. Okay.
We'll have a separate podcast
segment because we didn't have a lot of brothers.
That's a lot of good brothers. Pretty shocking news. Darius Leonard, aka Shaq Leonard, we changed his name, released by the Colts. Indy, I want to thank you for accepting me and my family with open arms. He gives out this whole thing. He's gone. And Jim Irsay.
Wait, he's not gone. He just got cut. He's not dead.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, it's shocking, just shocking turn of events. Jim Irsay tweeted out, Colts Nation will always remember the Maniac's palpable energy on the field with each tackle, interception, punch out, and fumble recovery. Off the field, he's a servant leader and assisted numerous families in both his hometown and the Indianapolis community. We're thankful for Shaq and the contributions he made to our organization. We wish him and his beautiful family the best moving forward. Pete, I would just say, why now? We talked about a little bit before the pod. His contract is set up where you could easily get out after the season with just $8 million in dead money. He had a $20 million cap hit. So no problem getting out from under it after the season. And I guess you're just paying the prorated. We're dealing with the prorated bonus. Everything's prorated from here on out. But like, why now? It's a weird timing for this.
Unless he was complaining, and they have two linebackers. Franklin and Speed are good players. So I don't, and you don't play 3 that much anymore, at least the way the game is played. So maybe that had something to do with it. And he complained. Maybe he complained. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, he hasn't been the same player. Let's be real.
Ian Rappaport tweeted that a former Shaq Leonard was one of the game's best, but his playing time dipped this year, which he's spoken publicly about. Now he's been waived, which so it seems to be
playing time.
Yeah.
But he had. I'll be honest with you. When he got back on the field, he wasn't the same player.
Yeah,
he was always smallish, light, and and his speed was always a big deal. And when you hurt your back, it's tough to overcome that.
Mike Garofalo notes that the aforementioned Mike Garofalo notes that Shaq Leonard will cost the team a little north of $6 million in base salary if claimed off waivers from the Colts, has no fully guaranteed money on the books for 2024, is now $6.5 million in injury guarantees. That may be why they cut him. They didn't want to, if he suffered an injury, right?
Correct.
He had that $6.5 million guaranteed for injury, and you'd have to owe him that cash. So it made sense to cut him now rather than put him out on the field, have him suffer an injury, and not pass a physical.
It's crazy though how far he's fallen as far as
he was never as good as his reputation. He was never as good as his reputation.
He was a rookie of the year in 2018, three-time All-Pro. I mean, he was a pretty solid player.
He was never as good as his reputation. He was a good player. He was never a great player.
Jeez.
Are you sure about that?
Either way, like you guys said, his talent went off the edge after he dealt with multiple injuries last year.
So I told
he had 163 tackles, led the league in his rookie season, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 7 sacks.
I've seen guys get boatloads of tackles and they make them down the field. I mean, look, he was good. Let's put it this way. He wasn't as good as Fred Warner in his prime.
Of course not. I was telling producer Harry before we started that the Steelers are going to gobble them up, but Nick Corte on Twitter, who follows these machinations really closely in terms of salary cap situations, he said the only teams that have the cap space, the $6.1 million that Brinson mentioned earlier, do not include the Steelers. The Steelers actually signed Blake Martinez today off the Panthers practice squad. That's how up a creek they are.
They bring Miles Jack to the practice squad too.
Miles Jack as well, but the Bengals are on this list: Titans, Commanders, Raiders, Chargers, Vikings, Packers, Cowboys, Ravens. Imagine him on the Ravens.
What'd you say, Brinson? What'd you say about Miles? Yeah, he retired, but he's coming out of retirement.
Oh, okay.
Miles Jack, who almost scored the game-winning touchdown against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. He wasn't down, Pete. He wasn't down.
He wasn't down, and it would have been the worst Super Bowl team to ever show up in the Super Bowl.
Got Blake Bortles paid.
Pete had the Jaguars in the Super Bowl the next year. Whoops. All right. So yeah, wow, Shaq Leonard. I mean, I thought it was pretty stunning. Do you think anybody claims him?
I just read through the list of teams that have the capability.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think anybody on that list claims him?
No.
The Steelers would if they could, but they can't.
Why would you claim him at that money?
Yeah. All right. Speaking of the Steelers, happy National Canada Day, Ryan Wilson. Matt Canada's been relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator. I appreciate Matt's hard work and dedication. I wish him the best moving forward in his career. Mike Tomlin released that statement via the Steelers and also said, this is not something I take lightly. He should have taken a little more.
Last time the Steelers fired a guy in season was my 3rd year covering the league in 1941.
Tell the rest of the story, though.
I think, and if I'm not mistaken, I think
right.
It was an owner fired himself.
That's right. He Ted Turner himself.
Are you serious?
Burt Bell. Yeah. I think his name was Burt Bell,
who ended up becoming the commissioner of the league.
Yeah.
Even he fired himself?
Had the common decency to get out. I joked after this news came out this morning that this is basically like firing the captain of the Titanic after you hit the iceberg. I mean, we all saw this coming a mile away. What took so long? I don't understand the hesitancy to get rid of him other than the fact that they didn't want to pay a guy for not working. Instead, they paid a guy to make things worse. But now, and you said this on HQ with Brady Quinn earlier, Pete, we'll see who Kenny Pickett is, because so far he's been bad.
He hasn't been good, but it's hard. Again, with all these quarterbacks, it's the same thing. Bryce Young, you make an excuse for him every Tuesday. Will
Levis, some more if you need him.
Yeah, Will Levis gets beat up, and same thing. They're all in situations where they're not able to become good players, And so until we see the possibility that they have a chance, it's hard to evaluate them. So to answer your question, if Kenny Pickett doesn't do more in the second half of the season with the change in offensive coordinator and change in offensive, play calling, then I think you really got to start worrying about him.
Let me ask you guys this question that I put to Joe Musso, who our coworker, who is a lifelong Bears fan. They currently have the number 1 overall pick that would have belonged to the Panthers had they not traded out to get Bryce.
Nice trade.
I know. I'll go with you first, Pete, because I want to hear what you have to think about this. What if Omar Khan, the GM of the Steelers, calls Ryan Poles at the end of the season and says, I will give you 2 first-round picks and TJ Watt for the number 1 overall pick? What do you say? And let's say the Steelers have the 13th or 14th pick, something like that.
If I'm the Bears?
Yeah. We want Caleb.
Oh, I would take that.
2 and a TJ. I thought that wouldn't be rich enough, but everyone I've talked to, including
I would
Joe
take
Musso,
2 and TJ, and I keep Justin Fields.
Right, yeah. And
One thing we have to do is slow the roll on these next quarterbacks coming out. We're already anointing them the next great thing. I mean, Caleb Williams has kind of gone down a little bit the last month.
Drake May didn't have a good week last week either.
Yeah, let's talk about Drake May if we want to talk about
He didn't have a good week either. That's what I'm saying.
And he's got a real test.
Okay, here we go.
Gosh.
Breech, are you taking that trade?
If I'm the Bears?
And the Bears also have the 4th pick right now too, by the way. Their own pick.
So 2 first-round picks. So I'd move back to the Steelers, say 13th spot, and then 1 first-round pick on top of that.
And TJ Watt to book in Montez Sweat.
Yeah, I guess.
Can I wait the rest of Justin Fields the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's the end of the year. Not now. At the end of the year, but yeah.
If Justin Fields plays well the rest of the season and you see progress and he's throwing the ball better and everything, then I would do that.
He played pretty good. I give him credit the way he played.
He did.
All right. So everyone's on board with that trade. We'll see if Omar pulls a trigger.
I'm halfway on board.
What's the setup for the Steelers moving forward?
Mike Sullivan, who is he
was with the Giants with Coughlin back in the day.
He was with the Giants. Coughlin, Eli, he was his coordinator. He has the 2 Super Bowls. He was a QB coach here. He's been in the league forever. His background is he was at Army. I think he was at Army, West Point. And he also was an Army Ranger. So if nothing else, he can beat people up if they start mouthing off to him. So hopefully, and I think, Pete, you talked about this as well, just open it up, man. Throw the ball. They don't throw the ball in the middle of the field. Just do anything differently.
I agree. Yeah, the offense was way too predictable.
Hey, Pete,
I think we need to get Jalen Warren the ball more.
Pete, I was going to say that too. I feel Wilson's over here saying, let's throw the ball more. Let's let Kenny Pickett throw the ball more. On the flip side, I would call 50 runs per game and only let Kenny Pickett throw it 5 times.
I don't know what Kenny Pickett can do. He can't, based on that.
I have an idea.
That offense. How many games has Kenny Pickett had the full complement of people around him?
Don't stop it.
I'm talking about because they've had injuries at wide receiver and tight end. Freiermuth has missed time.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who had Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore.
He threw for 170 yards or whatever last week.
Didn't make any mistakes. They don't trust Kenny to do that.
The Bengals can't stop the run. The Steelers should not throw a single pass on Sunday. Run the wing tee. You don't even have to have Kenny Pickett in the game. You just run the ball 47 times and you'll win.
All right, I'm willing to try that.
Pete, I got a quick question for you. That wasn't on the rundown, but I was talking with my buddy Grant Paulson about possible GM candidates in Washington if they move on. Any names that stand out to you as someone who's covers this league for a long time that you would want to look at for a GM position?
That's a good question.
Adam Peters was the first one that came to mind for me.
Yeah, that's I don't. I've heard differing viewpoints on him, by the way, for a variety of reasons, but I don't know if he'd be that guy. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You know who's the Vikings are resurgent. You know who's in there now as the assistant GM?
Who?
The big man from Indianapolis.
Brinson?
Yeah.
You think he gets another look?
I don't know, but he would probably scream and yell at about 8 there. No, I think he softened a little bit. He was a little angry for a while. I always like Ryan Grigson, and you know me, I have no problem with the guy who's going to give me crap. But I think these guys get in. Here's what happens, and not just guys like him, but whoever does get a job like that, they change. They get in.
Who could you be referring to?
I can refer to about 18,000 guys. Believe me, I've been around all of them. I know how they are. They all get in there. Oh, it's not going to be me. I'm not going to be that way. I'm not going to be that way. And then 2 losses in, they're all that way. It's the
or if they have a lot of success, they change too.
Huh?
If they have a lot of success,
they
change
success,
too.
then you become an egomaniac. And then they start fighting in the building with the coach. It's your players. Here's the one thing that happens all the time, because I know I've talked to many guys about it. Rick Spielman will tell you this. When a coach wants a player, they draft him, and then the player doesn't play to that. He blames the GM, whereas the GM will blame the coach for not developing the player. So there's your rift right away. You didn't get me this. Huh? Yeah, it's exactly. It's not unlike business. I mean, that's the way business is. Somebody's always going to play the blame game when things don't go wrong, right? And so I think that's what happens. So, here's what you don't know about these jobs. Do you want a real good football guy, or do you want an administrator?
Right.
I mean, like Rick Spielman always talks about, football was just a minimal part of that job after a while. And I would hire the position executive VP, you deal with all the garbage. GM, you're my football guy. That's how I would hire the job. If somebody doesn't, if somebody gets a DUI, the executive VP should be dealing with it, not the GM. The GM should be dealing with getting football players and building the roster. That's the way I look at it.
And a lot of times what happens is the GM does well as a GM and a football guy, and then like Rick gets promoted to EVP and has both duties, and so you're dealing with everything at the same time. And I think that, inherently just becomes more difficult.
But I'll give you an example. Is Omar Khan running the Steelers football operations? He is. Omar Khan was a cap guy. That's how he made his bones. I know a lot of cap guys that would love to be football guys. And then you get the football guys who look at those guys and say, oh, well, you can't do it. I just think it's football. It's not that complicated. It really is not. It's not. Hire a cap guy. If you're a football guy, you hire a cap guy. You have an EVP above you. The EVP handles all the big picture stuff, that stuff I talked about. The football guy handles the football. The cap guy figures out a way to make it all work for the football guy. And there's your organization. It's not that complicated.
There you go.
All right, Pete. You know what? What is complicated? Trying to figure out who's going to be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. We saw this week that Zach Wilson finally got benched, demoted all the way down to third string. They're now starting Tim Boyle, who I'm pretty sure is only on the team because he is friends with Aaron Rodgers. Does this move make any sense to you? Would you have rolled with Wilson? Is this rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic? What do you think of this move?
Did they bench the entire offensive line too? I mean, look, Zach Wilson hasn't been good, but I don't think it matters. That offensive line is awful. It's awful. And the weapons aren't great either because they brought all Rodgers' buddies over and they can't do anything. Lazard can't run. Cobb's 120. And the rest of those guys beside Garrett Wilson are average at best. So it's almost like, what are you doing? You can't – look, we don't think Wilson's any good. There have been games where for him, and I always got to put the qualifier on it. Oh, he played okay for him. For him. We'll be doing that for Bryce Young in a couple of years. For him. But – and
Pete, there was some kind of like spooky ghoul behind you a second ago.
Was there? What was it?
Yeah, Michael Myers just appeared over like Pete's shoulder.
But again, is he to blame for that mess? You can't blame him.
Let me ask you this:
you can't blame him.
What about this? What about the idea that they sat on their hands too long and trying to get another quarterback in there? I mean, Kirk Cousins is the favorite, but you could have got a number. Jacoby Brissett, anybody. Again, the offensive line stinks. I get it, but you could have played better than the current quarterback situation with Zach Wilson, and now the season's shot.
Yeah, but you got to remember, didn't they draft that kid? That organization, that group drafted him where they drafted him. So they were reluctant to admit your mistake. That's another curse of the NFL GMs. They don't admit their mistakes.
Well, they did twice now because they benched him twice.
I mean, are you worried Robert Saleh loses his job because he just was like willing to ride with Zach Wilson that long?
He gets a pass on the Rodgers.
On the Rodgers thing?
If Rodgers comes back next year and they don't win, then he's out.
You sure?
Positive.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, power rankings time next.
It's never too soon for college hoops. It's the Emerald Coast Classic on CBS Sports Network. All
right, time to do some power rankings with our pal Pete. Number 1, number 2, squared off in the rain. The Eagles came away with a win. The Chiefs fall 2 spots. Pete, I feel like the Chiefs won the friggin' Super Bowl last year. So people are like, well, look, they lost the Tyreek Hill trade. It's like they won the Super Bowl. So, they didn't lose the trade. But when you see Marquez Valdes-Scantling drop a ball like he dropped, and you know that Tyreek Hill would have reeled that in and would have won the game, and Travis Kelce had some bad drops and had that horrible fumble in the red zone, Mahomes had a bad pick. What is your level of concern with the Chiefs? And not in terms of like, are they good? Just like level of concern for winning the Super Bowl, because ultimately anything else is a bust of a season for the Chiefs.
Well, they won the Super Bowl last year without a bunch of guys.
That's what I just said.
Come on.
They had Juju.
And you know what? Brady got all mad at me. Brady Quinn got all mad at me. I said the throw could have been a little bit better.
That was crazy. I heard you say that. Stop.
That's true.
It's a 60-yard handoff. Hit him right in both hands.
But he's not in stride. He's like kind of like leaning out to catch it.
Let me ask you this:
it was raining, and he threw the ball 60 yards in the air. What do you
love Mahomes. You guys know how I feel about Mahomes. He could have put it here. He put it out here.
Let me ask you this:
if it was a sunny day, I give you that, but not with a wet football on a rainy night.
What's Marquez Valdes-Scantling's job title?
Receiver.
Okay. I'm just checking. So
he's pass catcher.
I love Breech. Breech is giving a pass to Mahomes because it's a wet day, but you're not giving him a pass for catching it because it's a wet day.
Hit him in both hands.
Fair point.
It wasn't
in
stride. It wasn't in stride.
You see the tweet?
You've seen Mahomes make better throws than that. He made a better throw to Watson on the sideline earlier in the game.
That was a better throw. And then, by the way, Watson should have caught that ball in the 4th and 23 or whatever.
Yeah.
That ball hit him. It was a tough catch, but he should have caught it.
Everybody's blaming Valdes-Scantling. Blame Kelce. He fumbled inside the 10.
Yeah.
Justin
Mahomes, if you want to yell at Mahomes for something, he threw an interception inside the 15-yard line.
And that was a terrible decision.
That pick and the Kelce fumble to me are the worst, because you're in the red zone. You're not in desperation mode. You have a chance to really force the Eagles to become one-dimensional.
Don't they go up 17 if they score when Kelce fumbled?
Yes.
Yeah, the game's over. It's done.
Yeah, but the next drive, Justin Watson drops a 3rd down, and then he's on punt coverage, and he doesn't even see the ball hit the 1-yard line. And it breaches the special teams coach. He's going to kick him into the.
To answer your question, the schedule is so favorable for them the rest of the way.
Oh, he's scared. Gotcha.
You got hit.
Got him. He just got scared by Michael Myers.
No, I didn't. I hit him in the mouth.
Flinched.
Whoever that is, he got hit in the mouth.
I bet that's Jack. That feels like
I hit him in the mouth.
You flinched though. You look scared.
No, now, anybody who's listening to the audio version has to watch YouTube to see Michael Myers attack Pete
with a machete.
27-minute the podcast.
I hit him in the mouth.
I didn't get the hit in the mouth part, but I got the rest of it.
I did hit him in the mouth. I feel bad.
Did you guys feel like Travis Kelce had kind of like negative body language last? I know that is weird.
By the way, if Pete gets an HR violation for hitting Michael Myers in the mouth, I'm gonna die.
I did hit him. Hey, it's a reaction. I went like that. Somebody comes at me with a blade, I'm hitting them.
Kelce looked like he couldn't believe Taylor Swift didn't come to the game. Honestly,
I mean, what about this? Why has this team only scored 1 touchdown in the 4th quarter all season?
They're the lowest scoring team in the league in the second half. Worse than the Giants and the Jets.
You know what my theory is? If you have a ball-headed guy calling plays with a beard, you are doomed. And the Steelers finally cut ties with Matt Canada, but Matt Nagy's over there dialing up plays last night, and it just wasn't working. And that's my theory.
If they score when Kelce fumbles, or the red zone when Mahomes, nobody says a word about the offense.
And let's not let Andy Reid off the hook. This is a guy who called for a punt from the Eagles 39-yard line on 4th and 4. What?
Down 3 points, or they were up 3 points, right? Up 17-14.
Yeah, they were up 3 points, and because that was the kick that Ryan was talking about that would have landed at the 1, but Watson didn't notice it and went in the end zone.
19 yards.
19 yards of field position for nothing.
Nothing.
And it's like when you have, I can't remember, I saw somebody point this out, but it's like you have, Andy Reid's one of the most innovative offensive minds in the history of football, and he's been reasonably aggressive, and then kind of flipped his stance on it, and you have Patrick Mahomes on a 4th and 3 or 4th and 4 at the 30. Go against the defense has been given. You were going to get at worst case a reasonably decent look for Travis Kelce. This is basically like a red zone play. I mean, go and get it to Kelce and get the first down.
By the way, Jalen Hurts looked lost for 3 quarters, two quarters and a half of the third quarter in that game.
He didn't do anything in the first half, but I think his knee is not 100%.
He's not. He can't be healthy.
But he's tough though. I'll give him that. Like he's extremely
He's a tough kid. Oh, he's a tough kid.
Is it crazy? I came out of that game thinking I didn't think either one of those two teams are going to end up winning the Super Bowl.
I'm okay with that.
I don't think you're crazy either. Look, last year, and I said this today earlier when we were on HQ, told Brady this. I said, the Vikings won all those close games last year, went to the postseason. Everybody said, oh, they're a fraud. Well, the Eagles are winning all close games. Are they a fraud? I mean, every game is a one-score game almost.
Well, isn't it this is kind of a weird stat, but it was like, wow, Chiefs games with 0 second half points of Patrick Mahomes. First 101 starts, 2 of them. Last 3 starts, 3 of them. That is wild. That includes the playoffs, by the way. But the stat, it was like, of the teams that have started 9-1 or better 2 years in a row, or only lost 1 of their first 10 games, the first like back-to-back years. It's like the other 2 teams won a Super Bowl in one of those 2 years. I think it was the Broncos, and it was Shanahan's Broncos, Elway's Broncos, and here we go. Lovely. Thanks, Harry. The Colts in 05 and 06, they won the Super Bowl the second year. Broncos, of course, won the Super Bowl in 99, and now the Eagles. So the only team not to do it was the Bills in 90 and 91, and they went to the Super Bowl both of those years. So history tells us that the Eagles should get to the Super Bowl.
They shouldn't. They should not have beaten the Cowboys. The Cowboys outplayed them that day. Should have won the game.
Shouldn't have beat the Chiefs last night, frankly.
Right. They don't. The Eagles don't look right to me.
But they keep winning.
But they don't look. The corners aren't playing well at all. You saw that. Those 2 guys have had issues all year. Bradbury and Slay.
Blankenship and Byard played well.
Both of them played well. I agree. Blankenship's a good player. Nobody even talks about him.
He's the only person that could tackle Pacheco. He was coming downhill like he was shot out of a cannon.
And then where was Jalen Carter last night? He barely did anything.
He almost intercepted a spiked pass. What do you want, Prisco?
Where was he playing real football? That was a joke.
How was that a joke? That would have been the play of the year.
That's amazing.
Let's stick around the AFC West here, Pete. The biggest faller and the biggest riser, both in the AFC West. The biggest faller, the Chargers, who fell 7 spots, and the biggest riser, the Denver Broncos, who are now officially, quote, in the hunt. So we'll talk your way through that AFC West.
When you see a coach losing his cool in a press conference, he knows he's done. He knows.
What do you do if you're sitting in the front seat in the press conference? Are you badgering him, or are you letting him go through it?
If he started pinpointing me,
either way,
I would have looked at him and said, "Well, are you giving up the play calling or not?" You didn't answer the question, and he'd go, "Well, I'm going to ask it until you make a decision." Are you the reason the defense? He was basically throwing everybody else under the bus but him and his coaches. Did you notice that? We call the right plays. We do the right things. We do the right game plan. And then, so who's it on then? You on your players? That's the next question. So basically, I would have said, so wait a second. If you're doing everything right, calling the right defenses and the right plays, who's at fault for being last in the league in pass defense?
You can't let yourself get to that point. I mean, you can be angry and all that. You can't do that publicly. You got to go into the broom closet and punch the wall and then come back out and be calm.
Right. Or if you want to take it up with the guy, take it up with him on the side.
What about your guys, Sean Payton and Russ Wilson?
I had many of those. And those got ugly. And in the press conference, the smart coach is never allowed to get ugly.
What about your guys, Sean Payton and Russ Wilson?
What about him? He's fixed them.
They turned the corner.
Look, they're playing better. I still don't believe in that team. Do you?
They're playing better. They're not turning the ball over. They can run the ball a little bit, and the defense is playing better. What else do you want in that division?
If the Vikings don't turn it over 3 times, that's a loss, period.
Well, you can say that about every game. If Brandon Staley had players that didn't drop passes, they'd be winning too. But that's not what's happening.
The Broncos have been fortunate the last couple of weeks. Let's put it that way.
They have the longest winning streak in the NFL right now.
Do you think they're good? I mean, look, no, I think they're moving in the right direction because Sean will straighten that place out. He's too good a football coach, but they're moving in the right direction.
I think it's important to, like, even if they don't make the playoffs, to be in the hunt for the whole season, because like early on, like when they got a 70 burger dropped on them by Miami, it was like, well, should Sean Payton be on the hot seat? Which is like just the most ridiculous thing in the entire planet. Like, and people were like, did Drew Brees make Sean Payton? Is he the only reason that Sean Payton was ever any good? Probably not. Defense has been much better.
I don't know if you guys saw at the start of the game, they showed the practice facility they're building there. They have no issue at all with spending money.
That's Walmart money, right?
They got like $40 billion.
That's the Walmart money.
CBS unfortunately does have issues spending money on our internet at the offices. As you can see, Pete is frozen, but I think he's coming back in a second.
I'm back.
Why don't we what you want to talk playoff bubble teams? Pete, what time do you have to go again?
2:45. I got to be out of here.
Okay.
7 minutes to talk playoff bubble teams, Brinson.
All right.
We got
a ton of teams hovering around the tens and teens in your rankings, battling for a playoff spot. The Bills, the Vikings, the Colts, the Bengals, the Raiders. Let's do some in or out. Breech, would you like to go first?
All right. Let's start with, you're so mean, the Cincinnati Bengals. We're just going around the horn real quick and like one sentence on whether this team gets in or not.
out. Done. Finished.
One word.
Bury 'em. Get the
Pittsburgh
shovel out.
Steelers.
No.
Everybody gets to say in or out on bingo.
Oh yeah, they're out. I thought we were just doing Pete because he's got to go.
No.
They're out. They don't have their quarterback situation is worse than the Steelers somehow.
I'm
Yeah,
80. You think they're out? I'm 90% out, but I need to see Jake Browning play one game before I'm 100% out.
Fair enough.
Jake
He didn't
Brown-
do
Jake
terribly
Browning-
in the one game.
Jake Browning was kind of like Des Ritter in college, right?
He's pretty good at Washington.
He's more accurate
Yeah.
than Ritter.
I'm just saying, like Jake Browning could win some games.
And Jake Browning could outplay Kenny Pickett on Sunday, Wilson. Let's not kid ourselves.
You act like that's some big. Pete Prisco could outplay Kenny Pickett on Sunday if he gets signed.
The Steelers better score 30
Let's not
points
forget
for
that
back
Wilson
end.
didn't like Kenny Pickett when he came out, so anything he does wrong, he's going to kill him.
Yeah, that's called the Pete Prisco approach to quarterback evaluation.
Well, I'm a realist when it comes to quarterback play.
I'm keeping it real with Kenny.
I didn't.
How's
I'll be
Will
honest,
Levis
I didn't
doing?
think C.J. Stroud was what he is, but man, he's good.
He's very good.
Maybe I was right about Justin Herbert. He's kind of a bum.
Yeah, they all come back. They'll all come back to the broken clock theory.
That's right. What about the Raiders? 5-6 and ranked 19th in your power rankings, Pete.
And played well in the loss last week.
Yeah,
They did play. They're playing better, but okay. Can they beat the Chiefs this week?
Yeah, they can.
Yeah. If they beat the Chiefs this week, they're going to be in the mix for a playoff spot. So, but I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I will also say no. But I think Antonio Pierce. I think that this team plays well enough the rest of the year, and they hire Antonio Pierce full time.
We'll see if old shiny object guy can help himself, Mark Davis.
Who's the shiny object? Jim Harbaugh?
Well, he fell in love with Gruden. He fell in love with McDaniels. He gets
Yeah, but he's spending a lot of money on coaches.
Antonio Pierce would be pretty cheap. You just hire the same guys you got right now. It'd be pretty cheap.
Cheap will be going right for
He'll be cheap.
young
He'll
quarterback.
be cheap, relatively compared to like a Harbaugh or something. Come on.
Yeah. Colts,
All right.
5-5, ranked 15th in the power rankings. Will they make the playoffs, Wilson? Repeat. Go ahead.
No, I say no. Gardner Minshew can't take a team to the postseason. He's not making it.
Breech disagrees with you. He's made a pretty fervent case for why the Colts. And let me add this wrinkle to it. And Breech, you can answer since you're the expert on all things Gardner Minshew. The Colts schedule versus the Bills schedule.
The Bills schedule's brutal.
Well, that's why the Colts aren't out of it. I think would be Breech's argument if he wants to make it.
The Colts have the third easiest remaining schedule in the AFC. The Bills have the fourth most difficult in the entire NFL. Yep.
Are the Colts any good?
Well, here I go, Pete. I'll give you this. Who's winning Colts Buccaneers?
Colts.
Well, the Bucs are so banged up on defense. I think the Bucs would win that game.
Minshew might throw for 400 yards in that game.
They're starting they might start like 4 rookies on that defense this week.
So Colts.
I didn't pick the Colts. I'm not going to pick the Colts. I think they
Colts
stink.
Titans. Who would win that?
Colts.
Colts Bengals. Who wins that?
Coin flip. You got 2 backup quarterbacks.
Colts Falcons. Colts Falcons. Who wins that?
Where's the game at?
Atlanta.
Atlanta wins that.
Colts Raiders. Who wins that?
Where's it at?
Indy.
Coin flip.
Okay. That gets them 8 or 9 wins.
Maybe 3 and
a couple
1.
of those coin flip games.
I'll say
there's got to be a couple other games. You only listen.
Well, the Steelers and Indy.
Okay.
And then the Texans in Indy in the final week of the season. When the Texans could have a playoff spot wrapped up, nothing to play for.
Let's put it this way. They better win this week or they're done. How about that?
I would like, if you gave me like 2.5 to 1 or 3 to 1, I'd like to bet that 3 AFC South teams get in versus 3 AFC North teams.
Brinson's on board.
Well, you got to think Jacksonville and the Texans. This Texan schedule is a joke too. Whoever wins this week is going to win the division. Whoever,
Yep.
and the other one will be a wild card team. So there's one of the wild cards. The Dolphins will be. I mean, maybe the Bills.
Well, we're talking about the Bills next. Yeah, Bills are 6-5 and ranked 12th in your power rankings. Did they make the playoffs?
Yes.
So if you have the Bills, all right. So right now you would have Baltimore, KC, Jacksonville. I assume since they're favored in that game, and Miami as your top four
Right.
seeds.
Right.
You said that Houston is your other wild card,
Correct.
and Buffalo, and then who else?
Cleveland.
Cleveland. Okay. So no, that's Cleveland keeps Indy out basically.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, they got a 2-game lead on them, so that makes sense.
Or does Buffalo keep it? Yeah.
Cleveland and Denver is almost like a little mini get position for the wild card battle game this week. Who thought that would be?
Yeah, it's a huge game. What about the Vikings? 6-5 and ranked 13th.
In.
Yeah.
They'll be in.
Hard in.
Find the 17. Who's going to be the 17?
The Rams.
No.
Yes.
No. You and Stafford, you just don't stop, do you?
No.
Jordan Love's getting hot.
I mean, who do you guys think is going to be the 7th? The
Vikings.
The Vikings. The
Seahawks schedule is really hard, by the way.
Yeah, but they
Who's
still have a
scheduled?
2-game
San
lead on
Fran,
everyone
Dallas,
else.
San Fran, Philly the next 4 weeks with a banged up
Yeah,
Jets.
and the Cowboys.
The Seahawks have that.
But they have a
Yeah.
2-game lead on
No,
all
San
the
Fran,
4
Dallas,
teams.
San Fran, Philly. Like those
And
4
what
games.
are the Rams? The Rams have the Cardinals this week. Then what do they have?
They don't have Cooper Kupp. I know that's one thing they don't have.
Yeah.
We're fine earlier this season without him.
Yeah, we got Puka Nacua.
They still have to play the Browns and Ravens, but they also have the Giants, Cardinals, Commanders.
Cardinals, Browns,
One
Ravens, Commanders, Saints, Giants, 49ers for the Rams. 49ers are probably clinch a spot at that point too.
Disrespectful to Tommy DeVito, but okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it'd be hard for them to make up those games though. That's a long.
Yeah, they're 2 games.
I'm just saying, like, if Seattle goes 0-4 in that stretch, which is not unreasonable, then all of a sudden the Seahawks are just reeling.
Yeah, but somebody's got to be this. Somebody's got to be the 6 and the 7. Who's the 6 then?
Vikings 6 and then Rams 7.
You're. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's not likely either.
No, it's not likely.
Washington losing last week. By the way, the Washington losing the Giants last week just totally throws them out of the. They would have been in the mix too.
Do you know that was the first time in NFL history that a quarterback got sacked 9 times and the team that sacked him lost by double digits? That's your Washington Commanders.
First time since 1984.
Oh, it happened before? I thought it never happened.
It happened in
No.
1984.
It's the first
When the
time in
Falcons
NFL
beat
history
Eagles.
that a team got swept by Tommy DeVito and Tyrod Taylor in the same season. That's the
And
first
it's going to be the first. It's not going to be the first time in history that Washington fires a coach either.
No.
Or Ron Rivera gets fired by a new owner after the previous owner is kicked out and forced to sell the team.
Can the Packers get into the mix?
They're the
better.
8 seed, yeah.
Jaden Reed's
If
playing
they
well.
win, if they win this week, they're in the mix. I mean, not going to be in the postseason, but they win this week against Thanksgiving.
They are in the hunt for sure.
Yep.
All right. I'll do it for our playoff talk. We're going to rank some Thanksgiving foods. I actually wish Pete could stick around and rank the Thanksgiving foods, but you've got to go do.
Brussels sprouts #1.
Stop.
God,
Those are
I
the most
quit.
disgusting, vile things ever put on a table.
Do you eat anything at turkey Thanksgiving?
turkey?
You see plain turkey?
stuffing, cranberry sauce, mashed potatoes.
Oh, that's more than I would have thought. You eat mac and cheese or no?
I mean, I would eat it. Yeah. I mean,
Oh, okay.
these days it's hard to get that much into that belly because it ain't that big these days. But
Hey, it's because you cheat.
You got to
know,
nibble.
zipping.
You got to nibble all day. That's
Yes.
the secret.
Yeah, you gotta nibble.
I mean,
Pete's
I love stuffing, and my mom used to make great stuffing. God rest her soul, with Italian sausage in it. It was fantastic.
Oh, look at you.
That does
Your,
sound
your
good.
diet gets more varied around Thanksgiving. That's good to know.
All right, Pete. Thanks as always, buddy.
Bye,
We're going to
Pete.
take a break, and when we
Bye,
come back,
Pete.
Pete will disappear,
guys.
and we will rank Thanksgiving foods next.
Join us for Match Day 5 in Miami
Good to have you with us.
All the way from England, baby.
and go inside the Champions League with the most entertaining team in the game. Champions League today. Destination Miami, November 28th and 29th. Streaming on Paramount Plus.
Who's going to do our blind rankings today? Don't look at them right now if you're
I'll be the host. Brinson, why don't you go? You haven't done it yet.
Okay, I haven't looked at it.
Yeah. Brinson definitely looks. He always looks at the rundown.
I haven't.
Oh,
I do look at the rundown because I'm hosting, but I haven't looked at these.
All right, Breech, me and you'll go back and forth.
It's pretty. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, like, there's always so many things you could lob out here, unless you're like. I mean, Harry's not from the South, so
just get your mind right. I got to read the Brinson intro as written by Harry. Now we're gonna do an on-the-spot blind power ranking. We make it up live on the air, Breech, and Brinson doesn't know what 5 things we're gonna give him or in what order. It's Thanksgiving, at least in the U.S. on Thursday, but we're not picking against the spread. Nice one, Harry. We're picking the spread. Oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming. Best Thanksgiving foods. You ready, Brinson?
Let's go.
All right, Breech, you go first with the stuff. I'll follow you.
You know what? I'm going to throw Brinson off because I think he has looked at the rundown. So I'm going to go completely off the book, and we're going to throw out sweet potatoes as the first one.
Wait a second. Let me clarify. Sweet potatoes or sweet potato casserole? Because that's a southern distinction.
I think it's sweet potato casserole needs to be the thing.
Whatever Brinson has at his Thanksgiving.
All right, sweet potato casserole.
Yeah. Sweet potato fries are fantastic, by the way, too. If you've never had those, you need to try those.
Yeah, you can get those at the restaurants, though.
Yeah, I'm just saying, sweet potatoes are great. So, oh man, do I put the sweet potatoes at 3, or do I love sweet potatoes.
I
do too.
I knew Brinson was a sweet potato guy. I could see.
I'm going to go sweet potatoes at 2. And here's the logic is that I know that my number one choice for Thanksgiving food is almost certainly going to be on this list because it's like very specific to Thanksgiving. So that gives me a little wiggle room. Normally I'd go 3 and do the Breech theory there, but I'm going to go sweet potatoes at 2.
I will say that I added the sweet potatoes on a whim so you wouldn't know. Harry took one thing off the list that Brinson doesn't know what that is. This is going to throw a wrench in the whole thing. This is great. Go, Wilson.
I see. You're muted.
Uh-oh. We can't hear you. Wilson, you got to unmute, buddy.
I was so caught up in the sweet potato casserole. I actually like that. 2 is a strong move for the sweet potato casserole. Have you ever had that, Breech?
I love sweet potato casserole. I will literally only eat sweet potato casserole sometimes at Thanksgiving. I don't bother with the other food. Sweet potato casserole, red wine, and a shot of tequila, and I'm good.
I was going to say
just like the Pilgrims.
That's all. That's all you can eat. Yeah. All right. Next up, here we go. I'll go down the list so as not to make Harry have to work on the back end here. In honor of Pete Prisco, stuffing.
Number 1. That's easy. I was waiting for stuffing is my favorite thing about Thanksgiving. I think. I mean, aside from like the football and the family.
How do you have your stuffing? Because Pete said his mom used to put Italian sausage in there.
So we used to go down to Florida, down to Jacksonville, Pete's old stomping grounds, where we would go to this like 100+ person, but for my mom's family, my mom's side of the family thing, and there would be this like it was like literally like every person was supposed to bring a dish, like a potluck thing, and you would go through this like 100+ dish buffet setup, and everyone would bring their own. So like. I'm open to any and all kinds of stuffings.
Okay.
Actually,
so
like oyster stuff.
1.
Stuffing is pretty divisive because I am anti-stuffing.
I don't hate it. It's like styrofoam to me.
Yeah, number 1 is high, Brinson. Man.
Yeah,
I love stuffing. It's my favorite thing about. It's my favorite thing about Thanksgiving food.
I need to do Thanksgiving at Brinson's. Maybe he has some delicious stuffing. My goodness. All right, so we got 1 and 2. So there's only 3 spots left here. Brinson only has 3, 4, 5. He doesn't know what's coming up next. Number 3 is.
Hold on. Before you say it.
Oh, he already said it.
I was gonna say, you could go. I want you to mix it up. You could go the worst or best if you wanted to mix up the order. Go
cranberry?
ahead.
Yeah, it's 2 cranberry sauce.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5.
I hate cranberry sauce.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's like I'll tell you the best use of cranberry sauce is when people make post Thanksgiving leftover sandwiches. And you get some
colder the better. I agree with that. Like on the turkey
sandwich.
No,
you get some bread, you get some turkey, you get some stuffing, you get some cranberry sauce, and you make a sandwich out of that. Oh man, a gobbler. Woo!
Yeah, I get you, but I'm out. All right, next up, and this is I have mixed feelings about this one as well. I didn't love this growing up, but it could be done well. I think it was just the southern way it was prepared. Green bean casserole.
See, I could make a case for green bean casserole at number 1. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Yeah,
preparation
if you put the fried onions on it. Green bean casserole number 3 for me. Green bean casserole, the southern style, is incredible. It's like creamy. You put the cream of mushroom soup in there with it. You get the cream of mushroom soup, the green beans, the the tobacco onions on top, and you bake it. It's incredible.
So the Brinson family eats stuffing and green bean casserole for Thanksgiving. Now I don't want to go over to your house.
If you show up with something without carbs in it, you're not getting in the house, is what I'm hearing.
I think you're correct. I assume that turkey is the last one. I'll put it at number 4.
No, it's not. It's not.
And guess what? It's not. We took turkey off the list.
Off?
This is a great one. This is a great curveball.
To mess with you, the curveball is that the last one is pumpkin pie.
Oh no, I love pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie is fantastic. Great job, Harry.
Good job, guys. I was like banking on turkey being sliding in at 4. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. I'm a huge pumpkin pie fan. So pumpkin pie, unfortunately, at 4 for me here on this list. If I was re-ranking it, it would be, I know. I'm okay with my list though. Like, I mean, I think sweet potato casserole is so freaking good. Like, you're not like, if you're presented with sweet potato casserole, green bean casserole, stuffing, pumpkin pie, what are you grabbing first?
Pumpkin pie.
You are?
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Not even close. And then after I eat the pumpkin pie, I'm going to get the sweet potato casserole.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go to bed.
You're eating dessert first?
I don't love the green bean. Like my mom.
Oh, I love green bean casserole so much.
I didn't love the green bean casserole that much. And the stuffing, like I said, it's there. It's styrofoam. You can put a bunch of salt on it and gravy and then okay. But and I'm not necessarily a big dessert guy, but those are heavy enough desserts with tens of thousands of calories. So you don't need anything else.
Yeah. So I think this is like my ideal. I feel okay with the list because if I'm picturing a plate of like what I want, it would be like a thin good, like, I don't want like, it's gotta be good turkey, right? Like thin carved turkey, some stuffing, some gravy on top of that, and then sweet potato casserole and green bean casserole. And then for dessert, a piece of pumpkin pie. And I'll force a little cranberry on there if my mom puts it out, just so she didn't feel bad.
So Breech, non-desserts, what are your favorite parts of Thanksgiving that don't involve alcohol?
Literally just sweet potatoes.
Okay.
That's all I want on a
Breechy's
plate.
whole sweet potatoes.
I eat them like apples. Like apples, just bite into it.
Sweet potatoes with butter and brown sugar. I mean, you could live off that just any day of the year.
Now, worth noting too, like I've talked about this, but I just want to accentuate it again. Like for the Brinson for Thanksgiving, we do oysters.
Yeah, I'm not an oyster guy any time of the year as well.
We steam oysters, and my mom does sandwich stuff and Brunswick stew inside. So you sit out by a picnic shelter type of thing. You sit out there, and we take a TV or like an iPad and watch the early game. Steam oysters. Some people go shoot guns, shoot skeet.
Some people Breech.
And I'm
I don't. I go watch football inside.
You told us about that like 4 years ago when Wilson and I almost quit the podcast because you ate oysters and Sean ate Brussels sprouts for Thanksgiving.
That's right.
And we were ready to just walk off the set.
I don't remember that. I blocked that out. It was so bad.
Yeah, I tried to block it out, but
Then you go inside and you watch the afternoon game. You drink a bunch of red wine and eat and then I usually wait and like make a sandwich and do like some Brunswick stew for dinner. And then lay around and watch
leftover Thanksgiving food for dinner. You make a new meal.
I know. That's why he does the podcast laying down when we used to do Thursday nights.
Wilson, are you excited about your schedule for this Thursday?
Yeah, I got it. It says that I'm supposed to forward everything to you.
Hey, no Thanksgiving podcast this Thursday. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, we are thankful for that. Of course, we always love doing it, but I mean, let's be honest. Usually it was just me.
You've had 45 turkey sandwiches by that point. You're in no condition to be trying the podcast.
Turkey sandwiches, that's right.
And I've eaten 257 sweet potatoes with a Breech.
That's right. All right. That'll do it for the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you are
gobble.
Our picks giving shows on Wednesday. So we're going to give our best bets out for the Thanksgiving Day games, plus the Black Friday matchup between the Jets and the Dolphins. We'll also be back on Friday. We're going to record. We'll have our best bet show for the weekend games as well, the final 12 games. Make sure and give us a like or comment. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. If you're listening to the pod version, download, follow, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Tell your friends to give us a try. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Wilson, for Breech, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy